Greg from NTL Industries. Good morning, my friends. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
We have been, I call it LinkedIn friends for quite a long time now. You guys have a fierce social media game going at NTL, and asked you to join the show, and you finally said yes. So excited to have you here. For those that don't know who you are or your business, let's start with telling the audience a little bit about NTL today, what you guys specialize in, what kind of size shop you are, and then we'll get into the backstory after that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm Greg McArthur with NTL Industries. We are a build-to-print company located in Sterling Heights, Michigan. We started in 2017. We specialize in defense work, aerospace, agriculture, and a little bit of automation, along with, let's say, copper parts, which is an induction heating supplied type products. So we do that across the board. So we either do CNC turning, CNC milling, Bridgeport work, pretty much all the aspects of the CNC machining world. So
very good.
Yep.
And how many folks on your team today?
We're at 11 right now.
Okay.
So the cool thing about our company and how we started was I didn't want to take on the hefty payroll payments from the standpoint of gaining full-time employees right off rip. So what we did is when we started in 2017, I worked a full-time job, and then I also worked at NTL Industries at night. I did that for about 10 months. And then there's, of course, no real time that's going to say, hey, it's time to go. So that way we kind of just jumped right into it. And then from there, we built out of our garage. So it was me and my brother-in-law in the garage for about 6 months. And then we rented a building where we're currently at. And then we started getting a few afternoon employees. So they had a full-time job, and then they come work with us for like 6 hours. So they'd show up anywhere between 3 and 5, and then we'd work until 10, 11, 12, 2 in the morning sometimes. So then I'd do sales during the day. They would be working their job. Then I would work a nighttime shift. So we actually had a night crew before we had a day crew. So that was kind of cool to start.
Yeah,
and then
that's a cool way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. 2019, I think we finally hired our first time full-time employee, and then kind of grew from there. So
that's a very prudent way to start. I like it. A lot of people get in over their head pretty quick, and that's a nice way to make sure your bases are covered and you're not overexposed. And
correct.
Because
the little things that start eating away at your nest egg that you start building from the beginning. So
yeah, you bet. So I presume you were a machinist prior. So did you go to trade school? How did you get in the machining industry in the first place?
In the early 1997, actually, this actually goes way back, like when I was 12, 13, 14. My dad was plant manager at a couple different CNC shops. So I started sweeping floors, cleaning up the mats, start learning a little bit back then. And then 97, my dad opened up his own business. And then I started working there, driving the truck, running saw, running Bridgeport, squaring up work along those lines. Then I kind of turned into being a lathe hand. So I learned how to work on Herco with live milling, which was super advanced at that time back then, which was pretty cool. I had a bar feeder on it. So I got to learn the aspects of that. And then we had a couple Fidels at that given moment. And then 2008 hit. And, a lot of people, what happened in the 2008 sector, if you have all your eggs in one basket, you kind of start struggling. And,
yeah, for sure.
My dad ended up losing that business in 2011, 12 area. And then I started working at another facility, a manufacturer, hydraulic cylinder manufacturer, which I started as a CNC machinist, and then slowly migrated through the CNC avenues through that company. Then I went up into estimating there.
Oh, yeah.
And then that became very monotonous because it was like numbers, 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 numbers. So I was like, all right, that's
Yeah.
enough. That's enough with that. So
Sure.
I wanted to go back on the floor, but I didn't want to run a machine. So they came up with a manufacturing engineered position for me that they moved me into. So
Okay.
there we were turning some of the programs there. It was an hour and a half long program. It was an IHCP rod, which is induction hardened chrome plated rod. And they were running these 8-inch rods, and it was taking an hour and a half. And we were able to turn that. They were working on a Mazak 450 at that time. And we were able to turn that hour and a half long program into about 22 minutes ish, right
Holy
around there.
smokes.
So
Wow.
there were 50 horse machines, and they had twin 21-inch chucks or 24-inch chucks. And we were moving the material so hard that it was actually sliding the piece of material through both chucks, hanging onto this part.
Holy cow.
So we had to we were using a CNMG or DNMG 5 series. So these inserts were like 1.5 inches. So they could take some force. But of course they operated in like when I was taking,
Sure.
we were getting 2 rods done a day compared to
yeah,
3.
picks up the pace for them, right?
Yeah, definitely. So we were actually starting to, streamline a few things and incorporate some new technology in that facility. And so that was where I gained some more experience. So I went from my dad's shop into this larger facility, kind of gained some more knowledge in the manufacturing or CNC world. And so from there, I was running into like not being able to go any further is what I can say.
Yep.
So me and my wife were kind of back and forth. I was like, hey, I want to buy a machine, and I, run it in our garage. And then I bid on a machine on eBay, and
Oh, did
never
you?
seen it, never ran it, never touched it. And I'm like, I think this is the one I want. The only thing I was looking for was it had to have a 8-place Dorian tool changer. So
Okay.
it was a 3/4 Dorian tool changer that I had on this machine. And I'm like, I found it on eBay. Oh, this is going to be amazing. So I bought it sight unseen. I lowballed the number when I sent it to them, and they accepted it. And I'm walking through the plant at that time. I'm like, wow, it just got real because we just won a machine. Then I go home later that day. I'm like, Shelly, we just won a machine. We got to figure out how to get this thing from, I think it was Iowa at that time. And we got to get it here, and we got to get it in the garage and get it wired up. So that was actually kind of the start of it. But I can remember it was January 26, 2017 is when we actually received our letters of incorporation through the Michigan Lara or whatever, however you do the stuff for that. So that was pretty neat. So, and then that was pretty much history. So 2017, 18.
And right in your own garage?
Yeah. It was like we had, I think it was a 500 square foot garage. And then we had 2 Bridgeports and a lathe in that garage. So the lathe I still have, I got rid of both of those Bridgeports, which is kind of ironic. It sits back in the corner. The little lathe sits back in the corner. It doesn't really get much work right now, but
yeah, you can't sell that thing. It's the first machine.
Nope, that one we can't get rid of. But
that is an awesome story. That are very cool. That's a short commute from your house right to your garage. So I bet you that was nice. But
a lot of people, when they go to a home and work, it's you definitely have to have your mindset of being able to do work.
Yes.
And still being able to shut it off between, okay, it's family time now and it's work time. So like I said earlier, when we first started, I was working at night. So I come home and play with the kids. At that time, I think my son was 17. He was 3. And I was building benches in the garage, and he's out riding his Power Wheels over the benches because I made him ramps. So that was kind of nice. Fun. My daughter, she was in cheerleading at the time for the Shelby Lions. So every Saturday morning, I'd wake up at 5 o'clock, go set up our tent out at the football field. So that way we would cheer, and I'd cheer with them. So I made sure there was a point that I never missed anything that my kids did from the day I started. So whether I had a late job, I had a hot job, I had this job, no matter what, it was going to get done. But my kids came first at that, still to this day. So
I
I made
admire
sure
that.
that that's a point. And even some employees we have now, family comes first, and you make
Mhm.
sure that the kids, you go see your kids' stuff, so that way they don't miss any of that. So
Oh,
everyone grows
that's
up so fast. Like I said, my
totally.
daughter is, I think, 17 now. Yesterday, my
Yeah.
son is now 10. So time flies.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. Yeah. As we were saying before we hit record, my boys are 22 and 18, and we're empty nesters. So it's like crazy. It goes
Yep.
so fast. So good for you for prioritizing that family. Um, and then so you said your brother-in-law also worked with you. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So my brother-in-law started, and then my dad also runs a machine. So I was farming workout to him. I was farming workout to, my brother-in-law would come in and run the lathe. I trained him on the lathe to run. So that way he would run that and I'd run the Bridgeport. And
Mm-hmm.
then we kind of snowballed effect. And then I got to a point where I needed to get a bigger machine, but I still was thinking about staying within the realm of my garage. So I was
Yep.
looking at a Haas, which
Mm-hmm.
they have that single phase TMP2
Yep.
mill. So
Yep.
I was like, oh, that would be perfect because we can still run it off the phase converter in the garage. I still won't have our like a rent payment and all that stuff. So that would be perfect. So one of my customers at such time when I was getting ready to pull the trigger on the machine was like, yeah, I have one of those machines. I'm like, okay, I want to see this thing, umbrella style tool changer. And I
Mm-hmm.
watched this thing run and I was like, absolutely not. What's the next size up I can go to? So it was one of those epiphany moments where it was like, all right, if we want to get bigger and we want to grow and we want to start doing stuff, then we need to, um, obviously put money where our mouth is and put it into the
Mm-hmm.
upgrading our to get to the next level to get into the different
Yeah.
machinery stuff. So we ended
Well,
up going with VF3 Haas 2018, brand new.
right.
At that time it was my biggest purchase I've ever made.
Yeah, I bet.
So it was kind of one of those, all right, I guess it's now or never. And then so the VF3 wouldn't fit in the garage. So then now I had to think of a different way of how we're going to run this machine or where we're going to run this machine. So then we started going out looking for places to rent.
Mm-hmm.
And we found a place that was, 5 miles away from my house, which is an amazing, amazing drive in the morning, except for when they're doing construction on every single road to your house. Then it's 4 miles. I should just start riding my bike. Um, but when we started doing that commute, it was like a perfect round trip, and we end up going with a unit that had a joint unit to the east. So we
Okay.
had the one unit in on the west, and then there was a unit on the east that we could maybe someday, move into.
Sure.
So we got the VF3. We got that in, started moving, everything like that. And I got one job that was like, all right. So the VF3 was running great, and I needed another one. There was an auction that I got, like, literally it had to have been the same day the auction came across in the mail that this auction was. I was like, I need another VF3 SS or another VF3. This one had a VF3 SS
Mm-hmm.
2016. So had the same
Sure.
exact control.
Yep.
So I was super excited to see this come up, but in the auction, I was like, I can't let it go over this dollar figure. If it goes over this dollar figure, I got to go buy a new one. And it literally stopped at that dollar figure with the markups and everything that the auctioneers do. It
Sure.
was to my dollar figure, to the exact penny of what I could go to. I'm
That's
like,
amazing.
it was one of those things that was like, yep, I guess that one's mine. So,
It's meant to be. Yeah.
yep, that was on a. I remember it because it was on a Wednesday that the auction was. We had the everything transferred over on a Thursday. I picked it up on a Friday. I was running parts on a Monday, so that's how fast I had everything, like, super in line. We dropped it on the floor and it was making parts. So it
Wow.
was pretty sweet. But yeah, so
Very cool.
thank you. It
So,
was,
yeah, I wanted to ask about when you worked for your dad in the 2008 timeframe, which was a tough period, I remember my shop going through that. Did that series of events kind of help inform how you wanted to start your business? Part-time, working in the evenings, using part-time people, like just kind of slow rolling it just to be cautious because you didn't want to, what if there was another downturn, right? So can you share about how your thought process of your dad's experience may have informed what you decided to do?
Yes. There was certain things that we learned very well through that 2008. Actually, it started in 2001 when the bomb the planes
Yeah,
crashed
9/11.
trade
Yep.
towers. A lot of stuff at that time started trickling into. Oh, you had POs for millions of dollars. Everything stopped
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a clock. So you had to be careful.
Yep.
Then we navigated through that part, and then we made it to 2008. 2008 was kind of good at that time because we were automotive, but yet we were also a little bit defense driven.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to be a little diverse but not too much diverse, which I
Sure.
think was the downturn at that given moment, which not having the diversity that you needed to grab from different avenues of income.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So when I started my business in 2017, I knew that right off rip, we had to be different and we had to be hungry right from rip. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to pretty much anyone that had a help wanted sign in front of their building that was a
Mm-hmm.
machine shop that they were looking for obviously help. So we turned it so that way we can help out for now until you guys fill those voids. And that's kind of how we snowballed things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think back in 2008, when my dad had his business, I think he had, say, 5 to 7 customers at
Right.
any given moment. So if they were real strong in the automotive sector in 2008, well, they took a hit.
Yep.
Trickle down effect.
Sure.
And then if you're only relying on one customer to give you all your work, and then they miss a couple payments, and then you're backpedaling real quick.
That's in a tough spot. Yeah.
Very, very tough spot. So when I started this, I wanted to make sure that we had a few bases covered in different areas, different avenues.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way we kind of saved. We kind of made it so that way whenever we bought something, we bought it. We didn't want to pull out a lot of loans on things because
Sure.
what happens if there's a downturn? Well, if we own the stuff free and clear, then we know we're at least okay. And if we needed to, we could borrow across those machines at such given moment. So there's many different ways of what and how we started this business, which was really good. Another thing that that I also took into place was a song by Pitbull when he goes, "You can ask for money," and what it goes, "You ask for money, but if you take advice, you get paid twice."
Mm-hmm.
So ever since then, like my father-in-law does all of our CPA stuff. So he does.
Yeah.
He watches it like a hawk, and that's what my wife does. She watches everything like a hawk. Hey, your profit margins aren't looking good on this, so you need to either change those profit margins and then move into a different avenue.
Right.
So we kind of, follow that advice, so that way we kind of don't get ourselves stuck in a hole. So we've been really good and able to navigate. But anything tomorrow can change. Later today can change. You never know. But as long as you have different streams of different things coming in, then the likelihood of everything crashing down at one moment probably not going to happen. But if you have different avenues and different streams coming in, then I feel a little bit safer. It might not be to the high echelon that you're used to or whatnot, but as long as you're somewhat moving forward and not going backwards, that's the name of the game.
Yeah, that strategy of going around looking for help wanted signs and then trying to get offload work from them, that's brilliant. I've heard of that before, but yeah, I think you're the first one that has really put that into practice, and clearly it worked. Now, when you did that, were you also looking for shops that serve different industries, not just a diversity of customers, but this shop is a defense shop, or this shop's more automotive or aerospace or ag or whatever? Was that also part of your strategy, making sure the industries were diversified too?
Yes. So the one thing that we try to be diverse enough against is trying to see, how can I put this? Like when we started this, I knew that the CMMC was really big. I'm sure we'll touch on
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked really close with the PTAC office ever since 2017 when I started it. So we actually had our cage code probably 6 months after we started our business.
Very
And
cool.
in 2020, we became ISO certified.
Nice.
So it was stepping stones from the very beginning that I knew that I needed it to happen. It was just money situation and time frame. You had to make sure that was all there, so that way you didn't spread yourself too thin, and overcommit to certain things that you couldn't do at that same time. It'd be sweet to get into the defense network and do this type of work and pay for the CMMC and then not have any work.
Yeah.
How's that going to go?
Sure.
So you got to kind of weigh your options before you go and start digging into those certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part was that I knew that I wanted to take it into the different sectors of the different people. If
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to play in the defense area, then you needed to be at least ISO certified, and you needed to have the CMMC start being in
Yep.
play, and you needed
Yep.
to be with the certain people. And then, you go to every event possible that you see. If you want to be in the defense sector, you have to make sure that you find all the ins and outs and go to your, what used to be the PTAC class is now Apex accelerators, at least here in Michigan. I'm not sure if that's over by you guys as well. But here in Michigan, the Apex accelerators are counselors or people that will help you navigate through this the fence thing. They have classes and everything. So we took the 101, we took the 201, the 301, how DFARs and this, that, and the next thing. So that way we are constantly building up for the defense market, but we are still entertaining and still dealing with all of our other customers that were machine builders or induction hardening companies, in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And social media has been a major player to building the strength of the different avenues or the different streams of income that we have as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was stepping stones from the beginning, but I always wanted to be in the defense sector. So
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, so much wisdom there. That's really smart. Did you intentionally make the transition at one point from offload work from other shops to going straight to the OEMs and being that sort of first tier, supplier to them? Was that a shift you intentionally made?
no,
No. Okay.
I was
Just
trying to go to the offload people first.
yeah.
Then I go right to the source, but I
Mm-hmm.
still do work with the offloads and I still do work with the source. And then
Sure.
we have our own government contracts ourselves. So now we
Oh,
are the
nice.
prime, then we're the second tier, and then we're also the third tier. So
Okay.
we hit all three avenues.
Yeah.
So I
But it
like, go ahead.
Oh, but at some point you decided to go straight to the OEMs as well. Obviously, still taking some of that offload work, but and was that like your ISO certification? Was that key to getting into that first tier?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because a lot of the contracts that you have a stipulation in there that say you have to have ISO certified.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll do their own they'll come in and give you your own
Sort of quality audit.
there you go. They
Yeah.
give you a quality audit, even if you're a third party quality audited, like we're through a third party. So they'll come in and do everything that they did.
Yeah.
And that's through the DCMA that it's good to have, but kind of pain in the butt too. But what's not at that given moment when you're trying to go forward. So
sure.
but so yeah.
Very good. So you mentioned social media has been a huge part of your growth. Can you describe your journey into getting into that? And I mean, I know you have Jeannie on your team and she's all over social, and Shelly does too, and you. So yeah, tell us about how you do it, how you started it, how you run it.
Well, way back before I even started the business, I listened to podcasts similar to this one. And I was listening to a gentleman named Gary Vanderchuck, or Gary V,
Oh yeah,
as everyone knows.
Sure.
So in 2016, early 2016, I started listening to him, and then I listened to him on a whole drive down to Florida, 21 hours. Everyone's sleeping in the back. I just pop in the headphones and then listen to him over and over and over. And then, certain things that he would hit on, you had to be constantly involved with your following. You always want to be inspiring. You always want to be, you don't ever want to be negative. That's one thing. Try to leave politics out of it. I'm not a very political person.
Right.
There's certain areas that's good for. I stay away from that altogether. So, I always kind of like to give thanks and praise to other people that are doing the same thing that we are, because it is a tough market. We're competing against people all over the place, but there's enough work out there that you don't need to be cutthroat and, beat each other up for it. I mean, I know that's the nature of the beast, but I look at it like there's enough out there. So, but the social media side of things is, we brought Jeannie in, and she does a lot of our pictures and she does a lot of the videos. And, we kind of make a Halloween spoof from time to time. 2 years ago was probably our best one. So I have to say that one was pretty good one. But, we do Christmas. We do try to do all the holidays. But yeah, she's very, very coherent. So that way she stays on, that's all she does is the social media stuff. So she's constantly on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or what used to be Twitter is now X.
Yep.
YouTube, we have a YouTube channel. So we try to hit all of them. They're all free. So we don't do any sponsored ads or anything like that. So it's just constantly in contact with people that you see on a day-to-day basis through those markets. So.
And have you found any of those channels particularly more effective at finding customers than others?
LinkedIn is very good at learning and trusting people, if that makes sense. The reason why I say learning and trusting people is because if you see people constantly posting, good parts and, these type of parts, and what I haven't been able to see that, if you're looking to have something made and you're running out of avenues, or maybe you're looking for a new supplier, those type of avenues, LinkedIn is very good for it. We also do what is on Marketplace on Facebook. We have like one of those little free ads that you put on Marketplace, free CNC machining. So you get a few hits off there, and you constantly be going and constantly be interacting with different people, because it only takes one person to change your life. So you never know who's going to message you at that certain time. So,
absolutely.
But we try to stay current on all those. I'm not a big fan. I like Instagram. I don't go on it often. I'm not, a little bit outside my realm, I guess. So,
yeah.
But Jeannie likes it, so that's good.
Yeah, the younger folks like it more than us. Yeah,
exactly.
So, yeah, because you guys post a lot of pictures of your parts, and oftentimes they're really well done. I mean, clearly you got nice lighting and good backgrounds, and so you have had engineers and or buyers that see that, and they're like, "Oh, I have a part that's kind of similar. Let me give these guys an RFQ." You've had that happen?
Yes, and
that is
way more than I could tell you. So nothing might ever transpire from it, but at least they know, and or something's working. So
sure. But some of those have turned into longer term customers for you.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's good advice right there for anyone listening. Because I hear, on various machinist forums and stuff, people are like, "Hey, I don't have enough work right now," but yet they're not doing the things that you're doing. So,
got to pound the payment.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there posting on Facebook that you don't have work, then you're not out looking for it. So,
yeah.
If you don't have bald tires on your car, you're not driving enough.
You got some good sayings there, Greg. So you just shared recently, speaking of all the sharing in social media, that you're moving into your own facility that you're buying, like 20,000 square feet or something like that. Is that right?
No, this one's 13,000.
13. Okay.
Yep. Got to walk
huge.
before we
Buying
run.
your own building. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. But we are now owner landlords. So that's kind of cool. So now if something's wrong with the building, I get to call the landlord, Shelly, and I can be like, hey, this is not working. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, no, we're good. It's been I think we were working on a deal last year to kind of go through, and that one kind of fell through.
Mm-hmm.
But the company that we were going to buy that one from is growing substantially, and kudos to them. So they ended up keeping that building and getting another building. So that's astonishing, and it's great to see companies like that still striving. Yeah. And then this one popped up literally the same week that they said that they were going to keep their building. This one popped up. Like the owner of that company called me and goes, hey, I hear you're looking for a building. And I said, yes, I am. Because that one's actually closer to my house. So now we're only like 3 miles from my house. So
perfect.
I'll take that all day long. But it's, it's 13,000 square feet, has a 5-ton crane in it. Manufacturing square footage is about 10,000 square feet, all open floor plan. So we can bring in some new machines. Yeah. It has a dedicated, inspection room in it, and then it has, I think, 3,000 square feet of office space. Way too much office space for us, but we're gonna have a gym in there, conference room.
Oh, nice!
Everyone's gonna have their own offices, lunch room, so it's gonna be really nice. So we're in the process right now of painting and getting it all back up to 2024 speed, not 1986. So she got a little bit of work, but it's all right.
Oh, it's fantastic. So have you continued to buy machines all with cash, or do you sometimes do dollar buyout leases? Or
we do. All right. So we do 2 different ways. Okay. I like Haas because Haas offers 0% interest on certain loan terms. So then we started. We have one Haas left, and then I switched over to go to Doosan, and all my lathes are Mazak. So I love the Mazak lathe because it's super conversational, and the stuff that we do is not 17 axes and stuff like that. So it's very 2D, 3D, maybe a little bit of milling, Y-axis stuff. So we have those, and that mill is financed, or that lathe is financed. We have one 2021, 22, no, 23. What year are we in? We're in 23. So as 2023 MSY, 250 MSY. So it's got the twin spindles, Y-axis, live milling, both front and rear. So that one's our Cadillac, but that one I had to finance because of the way that one was. I try to, and then the 3 Doosan's we have are all financed.
Got it.
So our NHP and both 5700S's are all financed. But the newest one, Doosan was offering, DN Solutions now. So use Doosan still. But DN Solutions was having a 0% interest for, I think it was 3 years or 5 years. So I was like, I'll take one of those. Yeah. So I'll take it if it's not, same as cash. I'll keep the money in my bank and then keep running.
Absolutely. Sure.
But I try to, save as much money as we possibly can because you never know that what if scenario.
Sure.
But yes, we do financing on our machine.
Okay.
I try to aim for the 0%, but
right. Yeah. So clearly, at some point, you felt comfortable enough with just the stability of the company and your income coming in that not paying cash, which sounds like you did at the beginning, you're like, now I can actually, if we continue on to grow, we'll find these good 0% deals and finance some machines and
Correct.
have those payments. But yeah, I was going to ask because taking on a building. And I'm sure a mortgage payment or whatever, that's a commitment, right? That's the next level. So,
but we were weighing the options of, do we get a bigger building and rent, or do we get a bigger building and try to buy it? So we've actually been saving for like 3 years.
Nice.
Every penny, you don't do much, you do what you need to. And we were able to save enough to get the building that we purchased, but it was not buy it by any means. We do have a mortgage on it. So, but the mortgage payment on that is actually going to be cheaper, if the economy goes down or whatnot. We should be able to be fine still with everything that we have. But the good thing is I look down the road. So in like 30 years or 20 years, when me and Shelly want to retire, because I'll be 64, 65 at that time, then I can, that would be a nice little nest egg for us to
absolutely,
retire with. So,
you bet.
At that given moment, but we still got plenty of time. Still got lots of growing to do. So we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. Very, very cool. So, I do want to come back to maybe 20 years from now. I don't know if your kids are interested in your business or for what your final exit plan would be, but let's go back and talk. You mentioned in the 3,000 square feet, you're going to have a gym, you're going to have all this stuff. Talk about the culture at NTL. I mean, from what you share with your holiday stuff, it seems pretty like a fun place to work. Yeah, tell us about that.
We try to make it as enjoyable as we possibly can. We're here more than we are with our actual families at home. So if it's not, it's very hard to explain because it's very laid back. Everyone knows their roles and everyone does what they need to, and very happy with the whole core group of our people. So everyone's very transparent. So there's no bad blood. You don't have this guy doing this and this guy doing that. I mean, I get it. We are humans. So everyone has their bad days. Everyone has their good days, but 99% of the time, everyone gets along, so I think our core group of people is absolutely amazing. And I would say family, but everyone uses the family term, but I would say just really good core group of friends that have been together forever. Sometimes those are actually sometimes better than family because you guys are actually together so much that, sometimes it's a hardcore to go with. So
yeah. Do you make sure when you hire people, you're really looking for that cultural fit of the team more than just the technical skills?
Correct. So when we do hire people, usually we do like a vetting process or whatnot like that. So, I'll interview them and then my wife will interview them and then she'll see different aspects that I might not see because I'm more of the technical, how do you run that part, to the T. And she's more of like the weeding out, I guess you want to say, or, like kind of feel it. And then I'll actually leave the person with the actual operator that they'll be working with to kind of get a feel for them too. So we'll do like a little trial run. I'll let them, talk and see how they say and how they feel at that given moment. Then we'll all kind of sit down and kind of discuss of what we're thinking. And then that, I mean, if you can't get along with the people you work with, it's not any fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. For your machinist, do you actually do any kind of like test or practical, like go, set something up or show me something you know how to do?
We do practical stuff. So
Okay.
we'll go out to the machine. You say, Mastercam, draw me a square and put a tool path on a square.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. If you can't do
Sure.
that, you know.
Right.
Then we also do the lathe stuff. And there's so many different variables and aspects within the lathe with having bar feeders and having the concepts of turning.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I'll have someone maybe come in on a Saturday and we kind of walk through different things, before, let's say we're bringing them in on their second interview or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll actually work with them a little bit and see where they're at, see how they feel. And then that kind of gives them a feel too for us, if that's, what they're used
Sure.
to. Are they more of like someone else sets it up for me and then I just kind of run it? That way kind of we understand each other before we know what we're getting in with. So.
Mm-hmm. Have you weeded out folks that said they were hot shit and then you could go to have them make a square and they can't make a square?
They make an octagon? Yeah, exactly. So, but no, there's a couple times that, yes, I can do everything.
Yeah.
But you haven't turned on the machine in 3 hours. You've been sitting at the computer for 4. So this ain't going to work good.
Yeah. Yeah. We did tests at our shop, and sometimes you'd have someone come in that said they had all these years of experience and they clearly just didn't know what they were doing. So it is, I think that's wise to take that strategy. So, are you happy with the growth of your company? I know, it seems like you've been growing quite a lot. Anything you want to share about, yeah. Are you happy with it? Are you still striving? Tell us about your growth journey a little bit.
So our growth journey from year after year after year, we're in what, 8 years, almost 8 years. We're very strong into the 7-figure digits. The first year we did 366. I remember that number because that was my first year ever. So we did 366,000. And then year after year, we've always been better. Profit margins maybe better, not so good. So you got to make sure you pay attention to that. But 366 was the first year, and we've done better every year. So now we're pretty high or mid 7 figures. So it's pretty impressive to see for us. So
that's huge.
From starting in a 2-car garage in 2017, moving to a 3,000 square foot facility in 2018, and then 2020 we expanded into the other 3,000 square feet. So we're at 6,000 here, and then now we're moving into our 13,000 square foot facility. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's so similar. We started in a little 1-bay shop. It was like 2,000 square feet, I think, but then the bay next to us became open, so we took that one, and we had like 5, and then we moved into a building that was 10, and then we just kept taking more. Unfortunately, we never made the decision or pulled the trigger to become the landlords ourselves and buy a building, so we were always just renting. But there might have been silver linings to that. We moved into that bigger 10,000 square foot space in 2000.
Okay.
It took on a much bigger, rent than the other one before, and that was right before 9/11, and it nearly killed us. We almost went out of business. But if we had owned that building and had empty space that wasn't being leased out, because the whole building I think was like 33,000 feet, and so so it might have saved us, but it would still be nice to own a big building today. But yeah, we just kept taking more space over the years, and similar story in many ways. You talked about profitability going up and down, and you really watching things like a hawk. When are you talking about just the company overall, or down to the job part number basis?
We do company overall.
Okay.
So we don't really break it down per job, so to speak. Some jobs we do if we're thinking that job's going to be a little tight, so kind of watch that one. But
sure,
for the overall, we watch overall. Now my father-in-law, he gets a little bit more technical than I do, but as long as
that's what I wanted to dig into. Like when you want to pull some levers to improve profitability, what are the things that you're doing?
Major thing is tooling. So a lot of the times, if you have the older style tooling, with which the technology is not as good as what the newer technology is for metal removal, and you have to kind of pick your poison that way. We've changed high feed mills compared to running end mills on certain things that we do high dynamic feeding with end mills, and then we've also used like different tooling calculators when we're doing our CAD programs compared to what we've been doing. That sounds good. Well, that sounds good, but you're not running it to the full extent of that end mill. So, there's been many times we've sped up programs. We've worked on different things to better the company. And then there's some jobs that you're just like, oh, that was awesome. I can't believe we took that. We did a great job on getting that job. Now we got to get it done. And it's that material that you're like, son of a pup. So, but we get it done. So that one wasn't that profitable, but got it done. It's
sounds like you do some pretty tough metals sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So we get into titanium. We get into Wasploy. We've done Nitronic 50. We've took a 6-inch diameter Nitronic 50 part and turned it into 2¼ inch thick in the middle. And on the ends, it was 7/8 on one side and 9/35 on the other side and 2.5 inches wide.
Wow.
So it was like a big teardrop.
Yeah.
One of the best jobs I've ever ran part wise, but we'll just say that was one of the best, coolest parts I've ever made from that big of material down to that. So
yeah.
Lots of learning on that one.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Lots of learning.
Lots of learning.
Yeah. I quoted a titanium engine mount part. It was maybe 8 inches cubed and it had deep pockets and ribs and features at every angle. And I thought I bit it pretty fat, but holy smokes, we lost our shorts on that thing so bad. It was just a bear. And we were not that experienced with titanium at the time. And it just kicked our butt, man. We probably spent double, what we actually charged for it, just in tooling costs and labor. And it was rough.
But the key is you learn how to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We learned a ton. I learned about feeds and speeds with titanium. I learned about chatter and work holding and extension lengths and so many things.
Zero sharp tools. Titanium does not like sharp tools at all.
So, right. Yeah.
Sharp corner tools. Sorry.
Yes. They'll, just rip those corners off in the first cut. So,
like, that was going to get resharp.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest challenges you're facing today in your business?
The biggest challenges that we had is trying to get into the 5-axis world. Been trying to get into the 5-axis world for a few years now, but knowing that the move was coming, that's opening up the door to start getting into that type of scenario. We did 3 good things this year. We got into the AS certification. We did woman owned. So now my wife's majority owner. And this year we got the building. So those were 3 good things that happened this year.
Yeah.
So next year we can start looking at the new, maybe a 5-axis or something like that. I almost pulled a trigger like 2 weeks ago and my wife's like, maybe I want to hold off. Like, fine.
What are you thinking of? What kind of machine?
A Doosan DVF 5000 with the option for the either 8 pallet pool or a 12 pallet pool.
Oh, wow.
So that's obviously where I want to go is the more automated route. You've had a couple on here, Heidi and Devereaux. Heidi, they own
Okay, yeah.
Haas
Heidi,
Protect.
yep,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yeah.
when I remember when they bought their first Haas, I think they bought a Haas UMC 750 with their Aurora pallet pool on there. I was like, someday that would be me. I think they bought that in 2017, and that
Hmm.
that got me pumped for the 5-axis market. So
Yeah.
they're doing good things over there.
Yeah,
So
they sure are.
they're
Yeah,
good friends.
great people. Are they close to you guys, like proximately?
Um, 2000, I think they're north of us a little bit. So
Okay,
they're in like Richmond, and we're in Sterling Heights. So I think we're like 40 miles away. I stopped at their facility, um, couple maybe like 2 years ago now. So
right.
yeah, super nice people,
Oh my
down to earth.
gosh. Yeah,
Yep.
Bob and Heidi
Small,
came on the
small,
show
large world.
together.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you heard that episode, but
Yep,
yeah,
that was one of the ones I listened to. So that way, I remember when they bought their UMC 750 or the
yeah.
UMC, yeah, with the Aurora pallet pool on it. I was like,
That's a
yeah,
sweet
that's
setup.
pretty sweet. Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
And is your is the strategy that for that to really go after 5-axis geometry parts, or just be able to have more automation even for a 3-axis, 4-axis type of part, but you're way less work holding and you're just, more automation, more spindle time.
Your second
Yeah.
answer. So it's more automation, less touching the part.
Yeah.
So that way you can kind of spin a part, get 5 sides of it at one time. And we
Sure.
have that NHP 5000, which can get four sides at one time, as long as there's not
Hmm.
a hole on the top. And then you
Right.
got one more setup. So we'll
Yeah.
at least have a 4-axis in here with multiple. We have indexing to the degree, so that kind of works out really good. And it's
Mm.
servo driven, so we can do 360-degree machining if we wanted to with that. So that works out. That kind of puts us up. So when we run production work, we can kind of run that one. It's got 2 pallets on it, uh, twin pallet system on that. So that's kind of nice. And then we have the 3 vertical machining centers. So
Got it.
we can run the mill work just as fast, but the NHP 5000 definitely blows the socks off the vertical machine centers in the production side of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Undoubtedly. So, when I asked about the challenges you're facing today, you didn't say labor. And most people that I ask, they're like, "Yeah, finding people is one of the hardest things." Do you feel like you have a good handle on that? It's not a big challenge for you.
At this moment, no, because everyone does what they need to. We've been able to grow steadily.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't really went to go look for people yet. I know it's going to come once we get in a new facility,
Hmm.
but we're at 11 people now, and our shop's really tight. So we had to
Hmm.
move machines out to bring more machines in. So, you
Hmm.
know, if I were to add more people, then everything's running good right now. I know you don't like to say that you don't want to add more people, but I'm looking to probably add 3 or 4 more people once we move into a new facility. So that way we can kind of come up with a game plan of how it's going to run.
Hmm. With folks that you have hired, do you get a lot of referrals from current employees? Or like, yeah, I have a buddy over at this shop, or do you place job ads? How have you hired the folks that you have hired so far?
Uh, when we're air conditioned shop, so when it's 90 degrees outside, we go air conditioned shop, and we got a couple guys off that, so that kind of worked out. And then one of the guys I worked with in the past, he came aboard. My dad works with me. Brother-in-law still works with me.
Hmm.
Uh, we have Jeannie who does the social media. Uh, so the core group of people I kind of know
Hmm.
that work
Got
with
it.
us.
Got it.
So I really haven't really went outside
Sure.
to try to find people.
Yeah, that makes sense. So coming back to Jeannie and your social media, not many shop owners make a decision to have a full-time person just doing that. Was it the learning that you got from Gary V's social media, podcast that really made you decide this is something we've got to do?
Yep, right from the get go.
Okay.
Because if you're not out promoting yourself every single day, all day long, people forget you. And then if you can't see them, at least they're seeing your stuff on the social media networks. But you still got to go see your customers. But at the same time, if you're not trying to make yourself more present out in the areas that are free, whether it be like Facebook or LinkedIn. LinkedIn's huge. LinkedIn's kind of going to another side that's more like Facebook, but I mean, you're going to get that anywhere, but LinkedIn, when we first started, it was pretty hardcore. It was all industrial based, stuff at that given moment. Now you see what people are posting for their lunch, but I mean, it's cool. It all works.
Sure. Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's really good advice. You're not out there every day. People are going to forget you. That's a good thing to remember. Let's talk about CMMC and cybersecurity for a second. So sounds like you've been taking it pretty seriously for quite a long time. And the final ruling is now law, and it's rolling out right now and early next year.
Contracts. Yep.
Yeah. When do you expect to actually go get your C3PAO audit and certification?
We actually have a meeting in an hour and 15 minutes about that. So,
wow.
So we're talking to our IT people in about an hour about exactly this scenario. So we have a third party company go in and regulate all that stuff that keeps us current with the NIST 800, 171, 110 regulations that they have right now.
Yep.
So, I know.
Do you recall what your SPURS score is?
We were at a 43 earlier in the year. So I know that we were a positive 43. I know there's quite a bit of things that were done, but it was certain steps that we were going to take in order to get to the final destination of where we need to be. So we regulate a lot of that stuff. So
good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of shops are weren't taking it as seriously back when it was just the NIST requirements, and being pushed by the DFARS, but CMMC was not yet a thing. But
correct.
Yeah.
Well, they were always saying it started with five levels, and then they moved it down to 3.
Yep.
So we were going to go for the 3rd level, and then now we're going to go to level 2.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, we don't design anything here, so it's not one of those things where we need to keep that type of documentation locked down. So if we were to do that, then we would have to be up to the level 3, I believe it is. There's many different scenarios put yourself in. So, but no, like I said, we're build to print. So you supply us the print, the data, we'll make it per spec and give it back to you. So,
yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. I think there's going to be a real crunch in the next many months with shops wanting to get an audit, needing to improve their scores, and there's not going to be enough auditors. So getting a jump on that is super wise.
The last time I heard, there was 6 or 7 companies out there that were actually approved to do the certification for that.
Right.
And I also heard that the certification can cost anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 for such employee or such company. So I was like, sweet.
Yeah, it sucks. It's important, but it sucks.
But at the same time, if the companies now that are doing the defense work are like, I'm not paying for that, because it does suck. It's a cost that's, not relevant, but it has to happen because of the stuff that's out there. But if the companies that are getting older and they're like, oh, well, let's just retire. We've made enough over the years, that's going to lower the defense industrial base. And then that will bring companies like ours up through the ranks. And then they're going to be like, go contact them. Go contact them.
So, yeah, no, absolutely.
we work good with a lot of companies around town. So we haven't even really, I would say on any given moment, I think we worked with 5 different states. 3 of those were defense companies not in the state. So that was kind of cool when they knew that we were, in the CMMC realm that people are looking
Yeah.
for. So,
Yeah. Well, that's again the power of social media and being sales driven and marketing driven. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So, I would love to ask just a couple other things to shops that are maybe younger in their journey, newer. What would you recommend that they make sure to prioritize and focus on to ensure a similar success to what you guys have achieved?
The major thing that I would definitely pay attention to is your sales, because what you do this year, and if you're looking to expand into new or better equipment, has to do with the sales and the profitability of your company when you're young.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can save as much money as you possibly can, only go with things that you absolutely need, not say, "Huh, I can afford that now. I'm going to buy that. I'm going to buy this and buy that." Always watch your numbers and make sure that you try to be honest, because a lot of people now are not honest, and they don't like to be, what am I trying to say? They don't like to be constantly talking. They want to be honest, and they also want to be like constantly giving updates on their work and stuff like that. So that way
just great communication.
There you go. So yes, the communication is key. So communication and honesty will go a long way. Yeah, you're not going to be perfect on every job, but as long as you're honest, that means a lot compared to, oh, hurry up and ship that job, even though you know it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
At least they're getting it, and then let them find it out. It does no one any good. So
no, that's a losing strategy.
That's a losing battle. So
yeah.
So those are 2 good keys: be honesty and watch your numbers and communication.
Yeah,
definitely.
Awesome. Well, Greg, if people want to reach out and learn more about NTL Industries, how would you suggest they go ahead and do that?
Well, you can email us at sales@ntlindustries.com. You can follow us on all the networks, whether it be LinkedIn, X, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I think that's all of those. And then our website's www.ntlindustries.com. Reach out to myself, Greg McArthur, Shelly McArthur, or Jeannie Weasley on all the platforms.
All right. That's easy. NTLindustries.com. I love it. Well, Greg, thank you so much. You dropped a ton of incredible wisdom. I love the sort of very thoughtful, methodical approach you've taken in growing this business. Clearly, it's been working really well. Your focus on sales and marketing and having a great work environment. And it's a great formula that I'm sure many people will learn from. So appreciate your time today, and we'll see you on the social platforms.
Sounds great. I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
All right. Cheers, Greg. Thanks.
Bye-bye.